Jai Srivas Govinda Jaya Srivas Govinda Srivas Govinda Jai Gauranidai Gauranidai Padidya Bhavana Gauranidai Jai Jaya Gurudev Prabhupada Gurudev Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jai Om Vishnupad Brahmans Parivraj Gacharya Stoddar His Divine Grace of Charana Arvind Bhakti Vedant Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Thai Gaur Premanande Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nastaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nastiki. So reading from Teachings of Queen Kunti, Canto 1, Chapter 8 and text number 26. Jannashwarya Shruti Shribhi Jan Aishwarya Shruta Shribhi Edamana Madappuman Nevarati Abhidatum Vai Twamakinchane Gocharam Janmashwarya Shruta Shribhi Edamana Madappuman Nevaratya Vidatum Vai Twamakinchana Gocharam Janmashwarya Shruta Shribhi Edamana Madappuman Nevaratya Vidatum Vai Twamakinchana Gocharam Janmashwarya Shruta Shribhi Edamana Madappuman Nevaratya Vidatum Vai Twamakinchana Gocharam Janmashwarya Shruta Shribhi Edamana Madappuman Nevaratya Vidatum Vai Twamakinchana Gocharam Janmashwarya Shruta Shribhi Edamana Madappuman Nevaratya Vidatum Vai Twamakinchana Gocharam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. My Lord, your lordships can easily be approached, but only by those who are materially exhausted. One who is on the path of material progress, trying to improve himself with respectable parentage, great opulence, high education, and bodily beauty, cannot approach you with sincere feeling. Please repeat the translation. My Lord, your lordships can easily be approached, but only by those who are materially exhausted. One who is on the path of material progress, trying to improve himself with respectable parentage, great opulence, high education, and bodily beauty, cannot approach you with sincere feeling. Purport. Being materially advanced means taking birth in an aristocratic family and possessing great wealth, an education, and attractive personal beauty. All materialistic men are mad after possessing all these material opulences, and this is known as the advancement of material civilization. But the result is that by possessing all these material assets, one becomes artificially puffed up, intoxicated by such temporary possessions. Consequently, such materially puffed up persons are incapable of uttering the holy name of the Lord by addressing Him feelingly, O Govinda, O Krishna. It is said in the Shastras that by once uttering the holy name of the Lord, the sinner gets rid of a quantity of sins that he is unable to commit. Such is the power of uttering the holy name of the Lord. There is not the least exaggeration in this statement. Actually, the Lord's holy name has such powerful potency, but there is a quality to such utterances also. It depends on the quality of feeling. A helpless man can feelingly utter the holy name of the Lord, whereas a man who utters the same holy name in great material satisfaction cannot be so sincere. A materially puffed up person may utter the holy name of the Lord occasionally, but he is incapable of uttering the name in quality. So we'll cover the rest of the purport during our discussion. Let us start our discussion with the prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanajalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nidinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Bhashya Dadeshadarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we are reading this wonderful series of verses, the prayers by Kunti Maharani. So in the previous verse we read Vibda Santuta Shashvat Tatra Tatra Jagat Guru Bhavado Darshanam Yashyad Apunar Bhav Darshanam. So Kunti Maharani, through these verses, bringing a very revolutionary ideas, the conceptions, that what is seen as an obstacle in this world, that we are all taught and trained, the problems are always bad, challenges are bad. But Kunti Maharani is saying, actually all these material challenges, the difficulties, the problems, they are actually the impetus to remember the Lord. So this is devotional perspective, spiritual perspective. A devotee can have that. And we can learn from the pages of Bhagavatam that how Kunti Maharani is teaching us. In fact, she is going to the extent she is praying that may those calamities happen again and again. Because that gives the impetus to remember the Lord, to become more and more dependent on the Lord. Now in today's verse, it is also a very wonderful and very powerful verse, which also breaks our material conceptions. People in fact work hard in this material world for Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, Shri. They think all this material security is a great achievement. But here Kunti Maharani is again bringing the different perspective that material security is an impediment. So just opposite what we think and what we learn in this world. We think material challenges are the impediments, but Kunti Maharani is teaching material challenges are the impetus. And we think the material security, material opulences, they are impetus to live and to enjoy the life. But she is saying material securities and all these material opulences in the form of these 4 items she mentioned is an impediment. So this verse is saying Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, Shri. So there are four things. What are the four opulences? The high parentage, Janma, the good birth in an aristocratic, opulent family. Aishwarya, lot of wealth. Shruta, Shruta is referring to good intelligence or good education, good knowledge. And Shri, Shri is the beauty. So these four items, which everyone in this world is working hard, and they think that is the goal of life. Somehow or other, if I can manage, of course we cannot control our Janma, but Aishwarya, and to some extent, little bit Shruta also, it's not in our control. But people work hard. Okay, let me just learn this. Let me work hard to go to this university and good education, good degrees, and all of that. And then, that will be seen as a great success and beauty. But what Kunti Maharani is saying is, these four things make a person Madapuman. The living entities becomes intoxicated by these four items. High parentage, wealth, opulence, and then good education or knowledge or intelligence, and the beauty. Edamana Madapuman. It will make a person very puffed up, very proud. Nevaratya Vidhatum Vai. And then one in that state of intoxication by all this opulence, the person will not be able to remember the Lord, chant the name of the Lord feelingly. Because Lord is Tvam Akinchana Gocharam. Lord is Akinchana Gocharam, one who is approached easily by the materially exhausted man. So Prabhupada brings many wonderful points in this purport. So when these four opulences are there, now let us understand that very practically. Can we say that all these four opulences are really bad? That we should not have these opulences? So we should understand in the right perspective how we can say that wealth is bad, that is Maya, and all of those things. So how do we understand that? We have to understand these verses very carefully. The point is, these things in itself are not bad. Somebody is very opulent, lot of money. Somebody is very intelligent. Krishna has given the good beauty, intelligence, given the birth in a very, royal family, aristocratic family. So does this become the disqualification for one to connect or remember the Lord? And on the contrary, it is said, Tvam Akinchana Gocharam, one who is materially impoverished. And that person can very easily remember the Lord. So, if you see the literal meaning, it looks like somebody is very opulent, very rich, very intelligent. He is not qualified to become a great devotee or good devotee. And another person who is poor, who has nothing, Akinchana Gocharam, materially impoverished. And that is the qualification. But it is not that straight. That is not the qualification. Qualification is not about somebody is rich or poor. If that is the case, then all the poor people in this world should become the great devotees. The beggars in the street, they should become the wonderful devotees. But they are not the devotees. And then all the rich people in the world, for them there is no hope in this world, how they'll become the devotees. So what is the clue here? The clue is, these four items, these material opulences, can make a person intoxicated. He becomes proud. And this pride is the disqualification, not these things itself. So it is about attitude of the person. So the person who has all these four opulences, Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, Shri, and if his attitude is, he becomes very puffed up, materially intoxicated, then he feels what is the need to go to the temple, to chant the holy name. No need, like that. On the contrary, there is a poor person, then not necessarily that he will remember the Lord. The beggars in the street, they don't all the time pray to the Lord or chant the holy name of the Lord. So it's about the attitude of the person. Even a rich person also, if he has the right attitude, he can be very grateful to the Lord. And he can remember whenever he get any success or anything, any achievement in his life, if his attitude is right, then he'll say, it is all by the grace of the Lord that whatever I have, either it is a good birth, or it is opulences, wealth, or good beauty, or intelligence. It is all Lord's grace. Right? And poor person also, if in the right attitude, then he can also say, okay, whatever Krishna wishes, Krishna has made me like this, let me just happily live my life, chant the holy name of the Lord. So this is about the attitude, not the exactly your material situation. That is no criteria, whether somebody is rich or somebody is poor. So this is an important point to understand here. But here the Kunti Maharani is bringing the point that the person with all these four items, four opulences, more prone to get lost, get puffed up, get materially intoxicated, is more prone. And then they remain puffed up, they remain proud, and they become blind to certain realities. And they think that, okay, I am very intelligent, I can figure out the solution. No need to go and pray to the Lord for any problem, any challenges. Where is God? There's no need to go and pray to the Lord, God, please give us our daily bread. That is meant for poor people. Let the poor go to the temple and ask God, give us daily bread. We have enough bread, we can also give the bread. Prabhupada says that, right? Communists, they used to go outside the church, and when some poor people come to the church and they'll pray, then God, please give us our daily bread. And when they come out, and this communist will ask them, did you get your daily bread? Say no. Say, then what did you get by praying to the Lord? Now you pray to us. So then they will say, oh dear communist friend, please give us our daily bread. Immediately they'll give us the bread. And then they'll say, okay, who is better? Your God is better or we are better? So this kind of attitude is the problem. Somebody, just because he is materially opulent and he denies the existence of the Lord. Prabhupada explains in that. Prabhupada says, some poor people, dull-headed people, might get influenced by these ideas that God is not giving you daily bread, these communists are giving the daily bread. But an intelligent person who is a Brahmana, who is trained, he will ask, you rascal, how did you get it, this bread? Did you make this bread in your factory? Can you produce the grains in the factory? Ultimately it is God is the giving. But these people are just transforming them into grain, into bread. And they are taking the whole credit that we are giving you the bread. Ultimately God is giving the bread. So if that attitude is like that, and there is a risk. So the Kunti Maharani is basically addressing here, pointing out the potential risk in all these opulences. If somebody is not careful, then that person can become puffed up, he can become materially intoxicated and become completely blind to the reality. That is what the material opulence does. In fact, Krishna also talks in the Bhagavad Gita. Anybody remembers? What is the obstacle that Krishna talks in the Bhagavad Gita 2nd chapter? Which stops one to get closer to the Lord. Bhog Aishwarya Prasaktanam Tayab Harta Chetasam Vyavsayatmika Buddhav Samadhau na vidiyate. It's too much of bhoga and Aishwarya. If somebody has, then there is a possibility that Vyavsayatmika Buddhav Samadhau na vidiyate. That person cannot have one pointed attention on the Lord. So that is the risk, right? So this is the nature of this material opulence. A lot of opulence, possessions can lead one to the pride. And then when somebody is too proud, then there is no feeling in his prayers. So possessions lead to the pride, and then pride will lead to the prayer with no feeling. Prabhupada is saying that sometimes these people can occasionally pray, but not with a feeling, because they don't feel that there is a need to go and pray to the Lord. Right? So this is the problem, that possessions lead to the pride and pride lead to prayers with no feeling. And we can see many examples. What happens, how the person becomes blind. Okay, let us recall some examples from the scriptures. What are some examples that because of some power or some opulence or some intelligence, people were so puffed up that they did not care about some good counsel, and at the end they were devastated. Some examples you can think. Anyone? We know the example Ravan. He was very intelligent, very powerful. He abducted Sita Devi. And practically everyone gave him the advice that please send the Sita back, including his own wife and many senior people, and then Bibhishan, his own brother. But he was so puffed up that he did not care about any good advice. And then finally we know what was the result. Okay, Ravan is example. What is another example we can think of? Who? King Vena. He was not listening the good counsel of the Brahmanas. Duryodhana. Practically Krishna, the Supreme Lord himself, went with a peace proposal. That okay, you want to become the king? No problem, you become the king. Just give them the 5 villages. To that extent, there is a proposal. But he was so puffed up, so proud, so arrogant, he did not care. And he says, forget about 5 villages. I cannot give an inch of the land. So like that, many examples we see from the scriptures, that how the person can become so blinded by all this pride. So this is the potential risk here in all good, parentage, Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, Shrivi. So it is not about, one should not just think, oh no, then we should not have the money, we should not be intelligent, we should not have the beauty or nothing, because this is all Maya, this will take us away from Krishna. No, the things are not taking you away from Krishna. Your attitude after having those things is taking you away from Krishna. May take you away from Krishna, not necessarily. So it's about the attitude. It's not about the possessions that you have, but the possessiveness is the problem, not the possessions are the problem. You can possess a lot of things. Krishna has blessed you with something, good intelligence, good opulence, good money and all of that. But possessiveness, this is mine, aham mameti, that attitude is the problem. Right. So if that is the attitude, then one cannot feelingly chant the holy name of the Lord. Prabhupada is bringing the glories, explaining the glories of the holy name, that one name of Krishna is potential enough to wipe off all the sinful reactions that one cannot even commit in this life. Now we should ask the question. We have been chanting every day 16 rounds for so many years. The glories of the holy name is such, say that one name is enough to make us free, get rid from all the sinful reactions. Why we are not? It means we are not able to chant feelingly. It means some anarthas are there. And the person who has all these opulences, then there is a possibility that he adds more anarthas. And then there's no pure chanting is coming. Feelingly one is not able to chant. And that is why one is not able to get rid from all these sinful reactions. Right. So that is the understanding. On the contrary, we see that many great devotees who were the kings, very opulent, very intelligent, powerful, but they were great devotees. Yudhishthir Maharaj, Parikshit Maharaj, they are practically the kings. Prahlad Maharaj, in fact, he was also born as a son of the most powerful and opulent person. So like that, so it is not about the richness or poverty which is the criteria. Criteria is our attitude. Okay, so anybody can become puffed up. Even a beggar can become puffed up. And actually, some of us might have experienced also. I have experienced. This beggar, he was begging actually long back. And then he was asking, so you try to give some coin like 1 rupees, 2 rupees. They get offended. They'll say, I'll give you 1 rupee like that. That is their attitude. They're so proud. He says, what you are giving me? Are you a beggar or what? So it is not just because he's poor, he's very humble, submissive. But they are also very proud about, he says, what you are giving me 1 rupees, 2 rupees. You know how much I make money every day. Like that is their attitude. So just because he is a poor person doesn't mean that he becomes qualified. The qualification is the humility, submissiveness. On the contrary, this pride is the disqualification. So as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna. That is the qualification. Humility is the qualification. What is that humility? Humility means to accept my position, whatever I am. Everybody is just trying to, pose that I am great, I am special. even in the devotee community that can happen if we are not careful. So we are trying to understand about the attitude here. So this attitude is very, very important. Just because we have given up everything, our family life, all these worldly things, we come in the temple as a full-time devotees here, and now we say, okay, we are all materially impoverished people. We have no wealth, no opulence, nothing, so now we are qualified. No, that itself is not in the qualification. We might have given up everything materially speaking, but still we might be carrying a lot of pride in our heart. So we may not be proud of some material opulence because we don't have any opulence. But we can become puffed up here in the spiritual practices. Oh, I am a senior devotee. Everybody should respect me, or everybody is respecting me. Oh, I am a very intelligent devotee. I read all the scriptures. I remember all the verses. I can quote all the verses. I can give good lectures. And people, they come and say, wow, Prabhuji, what a lecture. So all those things invariably will come. We cannot avoid all that. But what is our attitude when people come and appreciate us for whatever? It's not all of us. We do some seva. Other devotees say, oh wow, Prabhuji, wonderful seva. So that will come. We cannot ignore it because that is also an etiquette. That is a Vaishnava culture that we appreciate. We learn to appreciate others. We glorify other Vaishnavas if they have genuinely done something great. So it is good for the person who is glorifying. But one who is receiving the glorification, what is his attitude? If he is enjoying getting glorified, then that is a disqualification. He's become proud of, oh, I'm so special. Externally say, oh no, Prabhuji, I'm very humble, I'm your humble servant. That is easy to do that. But what is the attitude in the heart? We are enjoying, we are taking that rasa of being glorified. Then again we'll fall in this category of Nevarati Abhidhatum Vai. Will not be able to chant feelingly because you think I am so special. So the qualification is the complete dependence and surrendering on the Lord, that I am no one, I am insignificant. And there's nothing about that you keep saying, oh no, I am insignificant, I am insignificant. This is also, there is a pride in that people should think that he is such a humble devotee. It should be the feeling in the heart that I might be doing great things. Krishna has blessed me with some abilities in certain ways. I'm a good collector, I'm a good singer, I'm a good preacher, I'm a good cook, or I'm a good whatever, manager. So Krishna is blessed. So one should always remember this is all Krishna's and Guru's grace that I'm able to do all this. So nothing to be puffed up about that. That should be our attitude. And then that is the qualification. Right? So one should be very, very careful, even in the devotees, practicing devotees, the sadhakas, after giving up all so many things where the whole world is running after we have given up. And then we can be in the trap. Like we know we see the example of Bharat Maharaj in the Srimad Bhagavatam. That how Bharat Maharaj, he gave up everything. He was the king. He gave up his kingdom. He gave up his all opulences and everything. But just because he gave up, he did not go back to God. There is a risk. And he got into a trap. So in the same way, we are also like Bharat Maharaj. Some of us, like those brahmacharis, we have given up everything in our life. Just because we have given up, we have joined the temple as a full-time monk, living in a very humble state in the temple, doesn't qualify us to become a great devotee or good devotee. We had to work hard. Otherwise what happens, like Bharat Maharaj, after giving up everything, again he got into the trap. So for everyone there is a trap. For us also there is a trap. We have given up everything. We come in the devotee community and people say, oh Prabhuji, you are so great, you have given up everything. You left your family, you left everything. You are such an educated person. And then we might be a little proud about that. I am so special, I could do that. People are glorifying us for doing some services. So one should be very, very careful. And we should always remember that if we try to enjoy being glorified, then always remember that our misery will be double when we are criticized. If we enjoy that glorification, that appreciation, people are saying, Haribol, wonderful collection. Then wait for the right time. There might be some criticism also by the same devotees, the same people. If you are enjoying all this glorification, then you will be very, very miserable when somebody points you out. So that is how the devotee should learn the art, that we should not have that attitude of enjoyer. We are here to develop the attitude of a servant, servitude attitude. Gopi Bharatur, Badgamlay or Das, 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 Anudas. 100 times we hear that. But how much we are able to apply in our day-to-day life, in our day-to-day dealing. That is the test. Right? So one should be very, very careful. It is just like, when sometimes you eat something inappropriately or something wrong, immediately there is stomach upset and loose motion may happen. So similarly, if you are eating the wrong thing is what? Glorification, puja, pratishtha, love. These are not the right thing to eat for a devotee. If you start eating all that and you think this is what is nourishing me, then your stomach will be upset. You will have tough time, you will have trouble, miseries will come. So we should keep reminding ourselves, because all those things will be served to us. We should know that how to eat, what not to eat, like that. So for that we have to develop this attitude of humility. That is the understanding here. And then only, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, that amanina manadena kirtaniya sadhari. Then only we'll be able to chant the holy name feelingly. So as Kunti Maharani is saying, one who is materially very opulent, materially intoxicated, then that person cannot chant the holy name feelingly. And it can come in any form. Intelligence. See, for many of us it is like intelligence, education, some abilities. We think, oh, my ideas, my thinking, my assessment, and then we start judging people like that. So one should be a little careful. One should not become too puffed up about their own ideas, own intelligence, their own education, and all of those things. We should try to be humble. And it is not against the possessions, but possessions with humility is a great combination for a devotee. We want to possess a lot of things to utilize in the service of Krishna. We are not against the possessions. We are not against the money. We are not against any of those things, intelligence and the high parentage. Whatever we have, we want to have more and more. But for what? So that we can serve Krishna. And that is the principle that Rupa Goswami says. Yukta vairagyam uchyate nirbandhe Krishna sambandhe. We want to have everything. We want to earn more and more for Krishna, so that we can utilize everything what we possess in the service of Krishna. It is not for my enjoyment. If I am intelligent, my intelligence is not just to point out others. Hey, you are third class, you are dumb, I am so intelligent, I am so great. Listen to me. You don't know this also? No, intelligence is not meant for that. Intelligence is how we can serve Krishna with best of our ability. Right? So like that. And Prabhupada actually brings here another point in the purport. Prabhupada talks about this economic prosperity. Prabhupada says in this modern age, we are becoming economically very prosperous. And then people become puffed up. And Prabhupada was giving the example of this communist. And they say, okay, now we are all prosperous people. What is the need of going to God? There is no need. God, give us our daily bread. No need to go to God and ask the bread. Work hard, make money, and we are making money. We can give the bread. Like that. So this is the potential risk. So Prabhupada brings another concept there. Says all these communists, they are like atheistic people. But we are also having this idea, and this is called spiritual communism. What is spiritual communism? Communist says everything belongs to God. Communist says everything belongs to state. So everybody should use that. What is spiritual communism? Spiritual communism is everything belongs to God. And we all living entities belongs to God. So everything, all the material possessions or whatever we have in this world, everything belongs to God. God is Bhoktaram Yagadapsam Sarvalokam Maheshwaram. He is the Lord. And then all the living entities, not only humans, not only the rich people, not only the poor people, animal, insects, beasts, birds, everyone, all living entities, they are all part and parcel of Krishna. Means everybody has their own right on the property of the Lord. Like a rich father is there, he has many, many sons, then all the sons have the equal rights. So one son might be very intelligent boy, another son might be a little dull-headed. But does it mean that father says, oh, he's a dull-headed son, kill him and eat him? So Prabhupada says, when this concept of spiritual communism comes in the society, it resolves many, many issues which the whole world is facing in this modern age. We are seeing now that everywhere there is a fight and war and battles are going on between the countries, between the state, and locally, internationally, everywhere. Because everybody is trying to prove themselves that I am greater than you. But this concept of Ishavasham idam sarvam yat kinchit jagatam jagat. That is the concept. The Ishopanishad says that everything belongs to God. And God is our Supreme Father. And we are all the sons, the children of God. So we should live in unity. The common Father serving the common Father. And that is the concept of Vasudeva Kudumbakam. That is what is our culture teaches. But it remains as a concept if we don't understand the spirit behind that. That whole world is my family. It cannot be practiced unless you understand one common Father. And that is Krishna. So we had to train ourselves, and then gradually we had to educate the people in the society to come to this level where everybody accepts Krishna as the Supreme Father, and we all jointly together within our abilities, whether I'm a rich person, I'm a poor person, I'm an animal or whatever, let us just serve in our own capacities and respect everybody's individuality. Or just because somebody is an animal, I can cut and eat. That is not the understanding. Prabhupada quote the words from the Bhagavad Gita, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, Brahmane Kavi Hastini, Shuni Cheva Swapakecha, Pandita Samadarshina. That is the perspective. That is the conception of a spiritually advanced person. He sees everyone as part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Somebody is a very intelligent Brahmana, somebody is a dull-headed person, somebody is an animal, elephant or a swan, a dog or whatever. So that is the concept, and it can resolve a lot of problems. This modern age, another problem is people are slaughtering the animals. How many animals are being slaughtered every day? In millions. How do you resolve this problem? People are becoming so ignorant, they're not realizing that how much sin they're committing. And the reaction has to come in some way or other, in terms of war, pestilence, and so many other natural calamities. And people have no clue because they are so blinded by all these things. They don't understand what is the cause of all this suffering because they're committing a lot of sins. So if somebody has this kind of understanding, this is spiritual communism, where you see every living entity as part and parcel of Krishna, then we never kill each other like that. Okay, so these are some of the points that we are trying to understand here. And then Prabhupada concludes. Prabhupada says, we are not against all these material opulences. The same material opulences can be used in the service of Krishna. And Prabhupada brings this example. He says, like the zero. Somebody has, somebody is Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, Shri, good intelligence, high education, lot of wealth, beauty and all. They are like the zeros. You are adding 1 0, another 0, third 0, and you can add like 100 zeros. But all the zeros put together, it values 0 only, unless you put 1 in front of the 0. So bringing that 1 is bringing Krishna consciousness in our life. Bringing Krishna in our life by bringing Krishna's teachings, bringing the teachings of Bhagavad Gita in our life. Then only all those zeros we are adding, we are working hard, that will have the real value. Otherwise there is no value. We are just becoming puffed up, proud. We are becoming, blinded to the reality. What is this life? What is the goal of life? Everybody is just trying to prove themselves, trying to lord over on others, and that will lead to hell. So that is a problem. So I'll conclude with this nice example that how, one time the two sannyasis were there and there was a conflict in the temple and there some arguments was going on and senior sannyasis. So Prabhupada was also there, and then Prabhupada got to know about the conflicts. Somebody reported that Prabhupada, these two senior sannyasis, they are, arguing and fighting and something like that. So Prabhupada called one sannyasi first in his room. And he says, you are a sannyasi. And then sannyasi's job is, he should be keep traveling all the time. Sannyasi should not stay at one place. He should keep travel and keep preaching. So you should travel, you should not stay in the temple. He says, okay, Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. And then he says, okay, I'll go tomorrow only. So he goes away on travel. And after that, Prabhupada called another sannyasi. And he says sannyasi means very responsible person, very responsible devotee. So you as being a sannyasi should take the responsibility of this temple, nice management and everything. Nicely you situate here and take care of the temple management. He says, yes, Prabhupada. So one person was sent out on the traveling, one person was asked to stay back. And then he left. And then another devotee was sitting who heard both the things, And then he was amazed to see that how Prabhupada was so genius that he resolved the issue. And Prabhupada says, this devotee was saying, Prabhupada, you are so genius that you resolve the issue by giving apparently contradictory statements. Now there will be no problem. You resolve the problem. And then Prabhupada made a statement. Very, very, important learning for all of us. Prabhupada says, no. By doing this, there's no guarantee there will be no problem. There will always be problem in this world. So far, we try to lord over. We try to enjoy. If that attitude of enjoyer is there will always be problem in this world. So if you want no problem, then what is the right attitude? That a servant attitude is the state of peace. So Prabhupada made the point, problem is not because of this problem, this person, that person. Problem is about our attitude. And I want to become the enjoyer. I should enjoy, everybody should serve me. But wherein our Krishna consciousness philosophy teaches us that I am not the enjoyer. Krishna is the enjoyer. Let me develop that servitude attitude. I should become the servant. And not a servant of Krishna. Dasa, 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 Anudas. If we start developing that attitude, that I am the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant, humility, then you will be at peace. Nobody can disturb you. So one time Prabhupada was walking on a morning walk, and it was a freezing cold, and they're walking on a riverside. So because of very cold temperature, there was a layer of that ice on the top of the river. It was in -degree something temperature. So when they're walking, Prabhupada was walking with a stick. And then, Prabhupada took the stick and he was trying to penetrate that layer like that. He was breaking like that. Tuck, 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 tuck. It's a thin layer only. And then he broke and then water came out. And then Prabhupada was very expert, he gives some good analogies and good learnings through all these examples. Prabhupada says, this is what is the natural state of the river, the liquid, the flow. But it has become solid. This is artificial. So similarly, the living entities, the natural constitutional position is Jivara Swarupa Nitya Krishna Das. We are the servants of the Supreme Lord, sevaks of the Lord. But artificially we are trying to become the boss. Like that layer, the layer of pride, the layer of that attitude of being the enjoyer. That is an artificial layer that we have acquired over a period of time. Prabhupada says, when he was, piercing it through his stick, Prabhupada says, so I am trying to penetrate that layer through my instructions, through my teachings. So Prabhupada teachings, we should understand, are actually there for penetrating all these artificial layers. That, we have developed this material covering on the split soul, which is like a fever. The Prabhupada gives the analogy that fever is not a natural state of a living entity. It is an external feature of the unhealthy body. Right? So the goal of the life should be how to decrease the temperature, how to reduce the temperature, not to increase the temperature. But this modern civilization, what they are doing is, they are increasing temperature more and more and more. So Prabhupada says that, sometimes it is seen that spiritually advanced persons become materially impoverished. This is no discouragement. Sometimes people are scared. We become too spiritual. We start reading Bhagavad Gita, we start chanting, going to temple. Then, maybe I will be materially impoverished. What will happen? Prabhupada is saying, this is no discouragement. On the other hand, such impoverishment is a good sign as much as the falling of the temperature is a good sign. Right? So, this is what is your understanding, that devotee does not really work hard for all these material opulences, but by some Krishna's arrangement, all these material opulences are there in our life. It is no disqualification, but one should have the right attitude of being the Dasa, Dasa, Anudas. One should not become puffed up because we have something. And if we have that, Then Kunti Maharani is praying here, Navaratya Bidhatum Vaitvam Akinchana Gocharam. That person cannot feelingly chant the holy name of the Lord. And goal of our life is some or other come to the level where we are able to chant feelingly the name of the Lord. Because Lord is Akinchana Gochara. He can easily approached by one who is materially adjusted, materially impoverished. So in the next verse we'll see Kunti Maharani further talks about this Akinchana Gochara. So we'll talk that in the next verse. I'll stop here. Anybody has any quick question or any comment? Anybody wants to add any point or anything? Okay, so if there's no question, we'll stop here. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitaya Gaur Premanande.